Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. So, first things first, my name is Nate Weaver. I'm a director of photography in Los Angeles, California. And this video is about a device called the Axoon SeeMo, which Axoon has done something pretty cool and sent these out to previous customers of their other devices, and asked people to test them, give them feedback. The request was, give us honest feedback, but in return, please make a video for social media. So I am endeavoring to do that with as few edits as possible because I'm lazy. I'm a little bit of a different kind of use case for the SeeMo. The SeeMo is designed to go on like a mirrorless camera shooting video, and you can use your iPhone as a monitor if you are currency challenged, which is actually a really great way to do things, I think. A lot of today's smartphones have really good screens on them, probably better than a $300 or $400 monitor you could get otherwise. Sometimes not. But I think it's a good idea. There's good screens. You probably already own one, and it will probably only take a few bucks to get you to use it and put that computer in your smartphone to better use. I, however, though, wanted to do something quite different. I bought a 5th gen iPad Pro just for personal use last Christmas. So this would have been December of 2021. And I was blown away by the quality of the LCD panel in it. Apple's doing something called local array dimming, or sometimes people are calling it full array dimming. But I have been using expensive Sony OLED production monitors since probably 2014, maybe 13. I own one. I wish I had more, but they're not very bright. But they show very accurate blacks. And I've always felt it's kind of the best image you can get on set. And then I bought this iPad and I was like, holy crud, I think this display is fantastic. You probably can't tell anything from this video. But it's reasonably bright. I believe it's about 1,000 nits normally, with like a peak of 12 or 1,300. And I shouldn't digress too much on the iPad itself, but it's a fantastic display, and it's thin and it's cheap. And you're probably also wondering what you're looking at, by the way. This is my remote operator station with wheels control for a Ronin 2 and an Alexa that is in my van over yonder, beyond that fence. Anyway, I wanted to get a production ready image on an iPad, and there was no way to do that. You can't just take an HDMI image and pipe it into an iPad. The SeeMo says it can do this for a phone. And I was like, I bet it can do it for an iPad too. And Axoon basically said as much. That's why I wanted the SeeMo. So I will go into the good news first. The SeeMo does exactly what it is advertised to do. It takes an image from an HDMI out. Right now I've got an HDMI out of this DJI transmission, which is also brand new and super fancy. And I like it a lot. And that's a whole other video that I will never make. You can look on YouTube for other videos. Goes HDMI out, HDMI into the SeeMo. The SeeMo needs an NP battery to power itself. And by the way, here's something that should be edited into the middle. The SeeMo goes to an iPhone clamp. And that's what those slots are for. And that's what it's intended for. I'm going to assume and hopefully you know a little bit more about the SeeMo before you actually watched this video. It's supposed to go on top of your phone, your mirrorless, sorry. and it's got a clamp to hold your phone at the same time, and a little hinge and the whole thing. And let's be clear about like what the SeeMo actually is. All it is a H.264 encoder. Those are everywhere in many devices for many reasons. This one is a little special in that nobody to date has really made a device that I know of that will do pipe H.264 out of a wired USB connection to a companion app. And that is also what Axoon made. It is called Axoon C. And all you have to do is launch that app, and it takes the image from the SeeMo and puts it out. The other cool part is SeeMo gives you lots of other monitor tools like other iPhone, iPad monitoring apps. One nice thing is they tell you what resolution and frame rate it's coming in at, which codec. You don't get to choose a codec. It's H.264. You also don't get to choose the rate. You know, the resolution and the frame rate is going to be whatever the SeeMo puts out. As what the SeeMo is taking in. It also gives you the courtesy of telling you, you know, you've got audio, it's at 48K, 16-bit, great, so on and so forth. The app's got some other things on it. Yes. So this is settings. And you can control the bit rate that it's sending out over USB to your iDevice. The max is 30 megabits. That seems pretty good for most things. You can scale it up and down, and you can see your image fall apart or clean up. I don't see any reason. Probably the only reason why you would ever turn it down is for older iPhones that don't have the processing power to deal with higher data rates. You can have a number of monitoring tools. That's cool. I should also mention there's another Axoon viewing app for their CineEye wireless products, of which I also have one. It is wonderfully inexpensive. I think I paid $650 for CineEye 2S Pro. Works great. Their app, it was okay. You could tell it was a work in progress. This appears to be the fruits of their ongoing labor, and they've taken things in the Axoon, whatever that app was called. I think I want to say Axoon Go. And they are continuing to make it better. So a lot of the professional questions about this use are going to revolve around latency. And I'll just spell it out now. There is a little bit of latency with this. It appears to be about 1 to 2 frames. I'm wagging the camera up and down remotely. And if you look carefully at the images, you can see they're not quite lined up. That's a little bit of a bummer for pro use. Some people would automatically say that's a deal killer. I won't say that yet. If you're a mirrorless camera user and this is on the top of your A7S III and you don't have a monitor, I would say don't worry about this. You'll be fine. You know, and even with the latency that I'm seeing here, I would make an argument. Some people in my professional circles would say that that is unacceptable. You can't do that. I think it'll be all right. I would like to see in the future if they can speed up the app or the encoding or whatever to get that latency down as much as possible. I hope they do that. I think that things like that are important for the pro crowd. And so that's my first criticism is latency. There's one other what I call I think a glaring issue with the SeeMo, and it's my main criticism. And I was a bit surprised when I took this out of the box and hooked it up and saw it. So you can see that there is one USB-C cable here. There's HDMI in, that's clear, right? And there's a battery on this powering the SeeMo. But this battery does not send power to the iPad to keep it charged up. If you're going to be doing this sort of thing all day, that's an issue. Even if you're going to be shooting on your iPhone, let's say you're shooting a wedding with your phone on top of your mirrorless camera. Even if you're just shooting a wedding for 3 or 4 hours, your phone's going to die. It needs to, if you've got the screen on full brightness or something to it, or something close to that, I'm going to give Axoon the benefit of the doubt and say there's probably a real reason why they did not do this at this moment. I'm sure the Axoon people are very smart. I really mean this. That said, it's almost a deal killer for me to use in this configuration, as cool as it is, because I can only do this in this configuration for probably about 2 hours or so, maybe 3, maybe 4, with the screen on full brightness. If I'm working outside or something, I've got a hood on this thing, it's just going to run out of juice. Axoon has mentioned mysteriously that there is a new, and this is an Axoon iPad cage, by the way, and it's pretty cool. I like it. It does the job, and it has another MP battery slot on the side. They've sold this for some time. It's got a USB-A port to plug into your iPad and power it, but I can't connect this and this at the same time. And the reason I'm going into the cage right now is because they're saying they're coming out with a new version of this cage where the SeeMo will connect to the back of the cage via their little slot hooks and integrate with the cage and do something closer to what I was hoping for. I'm hoping that somehow, as they move towards that goal, they can figure out this simultaneous power and signal problem. Because it's a big one for my dream. Other than that, hopefully this video has shown you a little bit more. I watched Philip Bloom's SeeMo video the other day. He does fantastic videos, and I'm sure he is way more entertaining than me to listen to and otherwise. Hopefully this little setup is entertaining somehow for somebody. Somebody out there has got the same dream as me to get HDMI into one of these new iPads. There's tens of us. I'm sure of it. But I could not sleep at night without making the video like Axoon asked for before sending me this thing. And, thank you to them for doing that. I think it's a good idea. And hopefully you didn't fall asleep watching 16 minutes and 25 seconds of me rambling. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.